What a win last night, folks. What a win last night. Illinois 91, Penn State 52. Yes, that really happened. That really happened. I've been riding high today, people. I've been riding so high. So high. I don't even know where to start. Do we start with Kasparas and the fact that he was ruled out less than an hour before tip-off? Or the fact that Morez Johnson, Ben Humrichous, and Trey White just were dogs last night? Do I go to the fact that these guys I just mentioned, plus a few others, could potentially be back with this team in 2025-26 next season? There's so many things, but all I know is that I'm dreaming right now about this Illinois team, and man, there's a lot to discuss here. So if you're joining me live, which I know Penn State and Notre Dame football is about to start here in the next less than an hour, about 45 minutes. So I don't expect a huge crowd tonight because college football playoff is on. But I had to get on here and do this. All right. I'm loyal to the people. All right. So I expect some of y'all to come back and watch it later or tomorrow or something. But if you're here, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here. We got a handful of new subscribers over the last week and a half or so, and I appreciate it. It means a lot. I appreciate y'all's support. We are 5 subs away from 600. 5 subs away from 600. If you're new here, perhaps hit that sub. I would appreciate it as we try to get to 1,000. I'm hoping by the end of the season, March Madness, all that. I'm hoping. We'll see. If not, we'll just keep chugging along because I like talking about Illinois on in front of my MacBook Air in my house. Okay. So yeah, I just mentioned those 3 things, and I'm not even really sure where to start. Let's just start with first reactions. All right. The title of the video on YouTube is should Illinois fans be concerned about Kasparas Jakucionis' injury? And let's just be honest here. Is it a ploy to perhaps get y'all to come in here? Perhaps. On the other hand, though, like it is a topic that I feel like is important. Okay. Am I concerned about Kasparas' forearm injury? I would say that I'm mildly concerned. I'm mildly concerned about Kasparas' forearm. That all said, I'm not going to get all up in arms about it because I'm assuming Brad will talk tomorrow on Friday. I'm assuming he'll talk tomorrow at practice, whatever, and he'll probably give an update, and we'll probably have an idea if he's going to play on Saturday against USC. The fact that he was out there like dressed, even though he was ruled out, like it's not like he was in some walking boot or some kind of sling for his arm or whatever. I'm not very concerned. I'm really not concerned. That said, is this something that could linger? I doubt it because Illinois has one of the best medical staffs in all of college basketball. I feel that like the communication from the university or the coaching staff, whoever, to fans about this, though, and I guess this could be a little strategic, I feel like those things could have been done a little bit better because it really just came out of nowhere. It really just came out of nowhere and no one saw it coming. So that's why I'm mildly concerned. Is this something that's been going on since they were at Washington? You know what I mean? Since coming home from Washington. Like, did it happen at the end of the Washington game? I listened to Brad Underwood talk post game after the win over Penn State last night, and he didn't really give you anything. He just said he doesn't know, and that it's kind of a wait and see. But in general, I'm not that worried. It's not like it happened in the game, so It's wait and see for me. But this potentially could be a good thing. And I'm not saying injuries are good, but this potentially could be a good thing for other players. We saw it last night. Merez Johnson. What a game from Merez Johnson last night, right? Ben Humrichous got going last night. I mean, he had a great game against Oregon. I felt like he had an even better game here against Penn State, right? This Kasparas being out, again, the team's ceiling is higher with Kasparas on the floor. I'm not trying to say that they don't need him. What I am saying, though, is this is giving them the opportunity to get some guys going, get some guys' confidence going, and we'll see what happens, right? Will Riley. I didn't think he had a great shooting night again. Of course, he had 2 of 11, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, though. He was active in the game. He had moments. And I just feel like he needs something positive to go for him, right? Because shots aren't falling for him right now. He needs to be active, right? And I felt like he was active in this game. And I felt like his defense was really good as well. Kylan Boswell shot 2 of 8, but he also 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. Ace Baldwin had 0 points, people. I know he got hurt and basically didn't play the second half, but to completely shut down their best player, I mean, Penn State's been a thorn in this program's back the last couple years, right? So I think we all in general felt very nervous going into this game, right? Like I'm not alone in that. I know I've made my drive down from Chicago to Champaign last night, and all I was thinking about is that game at Penn State last season, in which they led the entire way and then gave it away in the final seconds. Probably Coleman Hawkins' most forgettable moment as an Illini, right? Penn State always gives them trouble, right? And you're always like, why? Like, we're better than them. Top to bottom, we're better than them. Why is this an annoyance? Why is this a problem? So whenever you hear that Kasparas is out less than an hour before the game, and I learned it while I was sitting in my seat in section 215. So when I hear that news, yeah, I kind of freaked a little bit. And then I started trying to spin it in my head of like, all right, well, if they lose this game, you didn't have your best player. This won't really affect them in the long run. And then they won by 40. Oh, man. 91-52. What a game, dude. That was it. That might have been the most enjoyable Big Ten game I've gone to. And what I mean by enjoyable, I guess I should say stress-free. That has to be the most stress-free Illinois game against a Big Ten team that I've ever gone and watched at the State Farm Center. And again, I live in Chicago, so I don't go to all the games all the time. But I will say the last 5 or 6 games that I've gone to as a fan these last couple years, they've been close. I was at the game in Evanston against Northwestern when Terrence Shannon came back from the suspension last year. I was at the Wisconsin game this past December. That game was probably closer than it needed to be. I went to the Tennessee game in Knoxville last season. That game was close the entire way, in which they lost. There are plenty of games on the schedule that I've gone to the last handful of years, and you just feel like you're on. You feel like it's just 2 hours of misery. 2 hours of misery because it's just so stressful. And it was just nice to kind of sit back in the nosebleeds of the State Farm Center and watch Illinois look like a potential national title contender. I can't believe I'm saying it, man. At this point, I was hoping, or I was thinking going into the season, if everything goes right, I could feel this way in February. Maybe they beat Duke at Madison Square Garden and they're starting to figure it out. I mean, it's January 9th. It's January 9th, and what, they've won 5 in a row? Beat Mizzou, beat Chicago State, beat Oregon, beat Washington, and now you've beat Penn State. Now, do they have tougher opponents ahead? Absolutely. Absolutely. They have Indiana and Michigan State next week. And if you've been watching this show for the last handful of months, you all know that I'm down on Indiana. You all know that I think they're a bunch of frauds. But they still have a lot of talent. And it's on the road. And I think it'll be a big test. Michigan State, pretty good. It's always tough to go to their house and win. So we can talk more about the schedule down as we go along here. But I think on one hand, you can say this team is winning the games that they're supposed to win. I think Oregon, going to Oregon and winning after the new year, I think a lot of us felt very, would I say hopeful, or would I say kind of like, if they win, it'll be a miracle, or maybe there's an injury or whatever. I don't think a large portion of us felt like they were going to go to Oregon and win, let alone blow them out. I don't think a lot of people felt that way, especially after how they played in December against teams like Northwestern and Tennessee and even Mizzou. They won the bragging rights game, but that game was just as stressful as any game they've had this year, right? But since the calendar has flipped, this team has just been rolling. I know the Washington game was a little stressful. You led by a lot and you almost blew it. KJ bailed you out in the last minute, but you still won 2 consecutive Big Ten road games. You come home, you don't have a letdown, you don't have your best player, and you win 91-52. Brother, that's elite status, in my opinion. That's not something that I'm used to seeing Illinois teams do against their own conference. I mean, is it fair to say, as we sit here on January 9th, that this conference is Illinois' to lose? Is it fair to say that? I think it is. I've been optimistic. I've been hopeful. But I think it's fair to say this is Illinois' conference to lose. It's Illinois' conference to lose. The Big Ten runs through Champaign, and if it doesn't, it'll be because of their own doing. If the loss at Northwestern is the reason that they don't win the Big Ten, then they'll be their own fault. They should have won that game. They should be undefeated in the Big Ten right now. They're 4-1. They should be 5-0 in Big Ten play right now, folks. They should be. But they're not. But they're right there. Michigan, Michigan State, Indiana. Well, they're tied with Indiana at 4-1, but Michigan and Michigan State both undefeated. They've also played less games. Michigan's played 4, and Michigan State's played 3 conference games. So that Michigan game, early March, is going to be interesting. This Michigan State game next week at East Lansing will be, I feel like, the road environment that I was expecting at Oregon. I feel like we will definitely get it there. We will definitely get it there. So, we'll see. Am I jumping into the Lulu hole too early? I don't know. But how do you not at least feel confident or excited, or I don't know, just a sense of like pride as an Illini fan right now? How do you not have some sort of confidence in this team? You didn't have your best player. You went up against a team that just beat Purdue in December by, 10 points? And not only did you not have your best player, but you won by 40. Yeah, man. This Illinois team, man. They're this I think I'm enjoying the ride. Right now I'm enjoying the ride. I think I'm diving into this is Illinois' conference to lose. The Big Ten conference is Illinois' to lose. I think I'm jumping into that hole. I think it's okay to say that they can be a national title contender because I don't think there's one team in all of college basketball like UConn last year that is sticking out, that looks like they are the full-on favorite. I don't think, at least. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But because of that, because I don't feel like there's one team that sticks out, I think Illinois has as good a chance as anyone in the country to win the national championship as we sit here on July 9th or on January 9th. And we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see how it all plays out, man. But, man, I said 7-2 in January. I asked for 7-2, and I felt like it was delusional to say. I said 7-2. And we're off to a 3-0 start in January. You got USC, you got Indiana, Michigan State, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska. USC just went to Indiana, led by as much as 10 against Indiana, and then fell apart. End up losing by, I believe, double digits in Bloomington. Indiana, there's been a lot of just, I don't know what they are. They've had some off-the-court stuff with Ballo. But their last couple games they've won, and maybe they're starting to shape up to what they're supposed to be. I don't know. I really don't know. I think that game next Tuesday on Peacock against Illinois, who could be in the top 10 by then of the AP poll, will be a pivotal game for Indiana to win, considering their non-conference schedule was awful. They didn't play anyone, and when they did, they got steamrolled. They lost to Louisville. They lost to Gonzaga. Their best win is, I think, Nebraska, I guess, which is not a non-conference game. I'm just talking about in the months of November and December. So that game, I think, will be more pivotal for Indiana than it will be Illinois. But it's still a rivalry game, and I would like to win that game. Okay? You have that Michigan State 5 days later on that Sunday 11 a.m. game. I can see a real big, just terrible game for the first 10 minutes, and hopefully things get going after that. I hate these 11 a.m. games on the weekend. I do. I really do. I feel like I'm scarred by them all. But that's to me at this point, this Michigan State game on the 19th will be as telling as ever about how serious I should feel about this team. For me. Now, you got Michigan in early March, fine. But as far as winning this conference, as far as being actually for real, that game will be very telling. Because, yeah, they've played well to start this month. They blew out Oregon in dominating fashion. They beat Penn State, a team that's kind of had their hand the last couple years. Sure, absolutely. But I think next week between Indiana and Michigan State on the road, it would be incredible if they go 2-0 against them both. But I'm looking at you need to at least win one of them. That's how I'm looking at it. So that only this on Saturday is must win. And I don't think they're going to I think they will roll against USC. USC is not very good. They will roll against USC. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Not trying to jump too far ahead. But they need to win this game against USC so you move to 5-1 in conference play. So that's how I'm viewing things right now. Hope to be completely wrong about next week. Hope they win both games, right? How will they keep doing that? Well, they're going to need Ben Humrichous to keep shooting it the way he's shooting it, man. The way he's playing. Ben Humrichous I mean, people were saying that this guy should just be at the end of the bench in December, man. Just at the end of the bench. The Oregon game, most people were just happy for him, happy to see him have some success. But could he keep it going? I felt like against Washington, he didn't shoot it that well, but I felt like he made an impact defensively, and he still finished with 7 points, which is still better than like 2 points and shooting like 1 of 4 from 3, and that's it. You know what I mean? Or 3 points and shooting just the 4 shots and just not really being much of anything out there, right? I feel like in this instance, the last 3 games, Ben Humrichous has shown to be more aggressive. It helps that his shot is falling. And then also, and credit to Brad Underwood, they've gone to booty ball with him. Booty ball with Ben Humrichous. It's hitting different right now, man. It's not like they're going down and just going straight to it like they did with Marcus Domask last year. They're not doing that. But in certain sets, certain parts of the game, they will go and do that. And he's got the size and strength to be able to do that. And they're taking advantage of what they want to do in terms of their mismatches that they create because of their size. And the fact that when he does that, when he gets into those sets, it helps get him going. Because I felt like beginning of the game yesterday, he actually wasn't making all of his shots to start. Yeah, he hit a couple threes. I think he hit 1 or 2 threes in the first 10 minutes of the game. But I really think he really started taking off in the final 10 minutes. I mean, when they went on that 34-4 run, he was doing it all. It wasn't just him hitting threes. But I felt like he got to the basket and he was just active, man. And like, to me, that's what they need. Is he the true, is Ben Humrichous the true X factor for this team? You could probably make that case based off, his size and shooting and all of that. Sure. Because you know what you're going to get out of KJ when he's in this lineup. And I think we all know what Bam is going to do as well, Kylan. But they're going to need that 3-point shooting and just that scoring in general. I'm still not moving off my stance on you need 8 to 12 points from Ben Humrichous every game. Somewhere between 8 to 12 points. That's where I'm at. If you can get 8 to 12 points out of Ben Humrichous every game, you're probably going to be in position to at least have a chance to win, right? Again, I'm not only am I just happy for the kid, like this guy went from an NAIA school to the Missouri Valley last year, and now he's thriving in the Big Ten. What a journey, right? What a journey. So I'm happy for him. The guy struggled and he kept working, and a lot of people don't want to give credit where credit is due when it comes to coaching in this situation. So many people thinking Brad Underwood loves Ben Humrichous for whatever reason. What did he do to get him to do that? Brad Underwood believed in Ben Humrichous, and it's paying off. Now, the flip side, sometimes with other players, we can go back and look and be like, what are we doing? Especially after a long sample size. It was just December where Ben Humrichous was really struggling. I feel 5 games, right? So it wasn't necessarily a large sample size, in my opinion. So I think there always has to be some sort of line, but I think with Brad, you have to give him some credit for continuing to believe in his plums, as one might say. Brad loves Ben Humrichous, and it's paying off right now, at least. It's paying off right now. And again, I'm just happy for Ben because he seems like a good kid, and his confidence, it could not have been high in December, and now he has to feel great. He had to wake up today in Champaign and just be the happiest kid on campus. You know what I mean? The pride of Tempton, Indiana, brother. So I'm happy for him. And yeah, 19 first half points against Penn State. He had more points than Penn State at one point. I think when he had 19, Penn State had 15. It's wild, right? And I think Penn State finished with 21 first half points Yeah. So hell of a game for Humrichous. Trey White. I've of course driving home from Champaign last night, I listened to some of my favorite Illini podcasts. I love Locked On Illini with my guy Sonny Verma. Huge fan of CHGO Cubs, so I enjoy supporting him doing that. He does a great job. If you don't listen to that show, you should give it a shot. I'm assuming most people watching or listening to this probably already do. But he said he said the same thing. I listened to the Illini Inquirer post game. I've listened to Sleepers Media's post game today. I listened to another one. I can't remember which one, but these are all shows that I like to listen to in regards to college basketball. And all of them are saying something along the lines for Trey White that it's just a quiet 20 points. Just a quiet, like, how did he get there? And maybe I'm just paying extra attention to him because I've been so happy to see him turn the corner since the game against Wisconsin. Am I the only one who is just taking every Trey White bucket and celebrating it hard? Because to me, the first month of his season was very concerning to me. Maybe I was more concerned than anyone else because he wasn't giving you anything in November, right? He didn't give you anything against Northwestern. And then that Wisconsin game, since then, he's just been rolling. He's just been rolling. I guess you can make the argument that it was a quiet 20 points. He's a really great cutter. He hit some threes last night. I think he's one of the few players who can kind of ISO in the half-court sets a little bit. I'm paying more attention to him because I think there's more there than what people believe. Like a month ago, were people thinking Trey White was like a fourth or fifth option? I guess I was optimistic that maybe he could be a second or third option coming into the season, considering, he's one of the few experienced guys coming from Louisville, and he wanted to be in a winning program, and I felt like him being surrounded by Brad was going to unlock something from him. Was that too delulu for me to believe in? What am I missing with Trey White? I guess I just wasn't surprised to see 20 points at the end of the game. Like I've had my eyes locked on him. When he's on the floor, my eyes are locked in because I just think he's better than what a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think Ben Humrichous is more of an X factor for them than Trey White is. I think Trey White is a guy that is going to be your second or third option the rest of the year. First option, obviously KJ. I think Kylan is quietly that second option. He hasn't shot the three well, but I think he's still a guy that you feel confident taking shots when you need someone to go get a shot or get to the basket, get to the free throw line, something like that. Will Riley could be that second option, and then I would move Trey White down a little bit because I still would rather have Kylan taking shots. But Kylan's just doing a little bit of everything, right? So maybe I should put Trey White ahead of Kylan in this scenario of me talking right now. I want to feel like Will Riley can get there, but you can clearly tell right now, Will Riley, you can clearly tell that this guy could use another year of college basketball. I'm not hoping he comes back strictly just because of like my fandom and hoping that Illinois can be a real national title contender next season. I'm genuinely hoping he comes back next year just because he could seriously use it. Unless things really turn around from here on out, right? That's just how I feel. Of course, if he goes into the draft this year, I'll root for him in the NBA, but I just personally feel like he's not ready. And I don't know what could happen over the next couple months that will change my mind unless he completely flips the switch and turns into, like I'm saying, the number 2, number 3 scorer for this team. And right now, I'm hoping he can be a spark plug off the bench for this team. But DGL has kind of taken over that spot, right? So again, it's KJ for me right now. It's KJ, it's Kylan, it's Trey White. Those are my top three like guys right now. The guys that your go-to guys when you're trying to get some points. And then Humrichous is your 4. I think Humrichous can provide more scoring on certain nights. He can fill it up in stretches, right? Like if he gets hot, right? But I think you can get consistency from Trey White, consistent 15 plus points a night, because he can drive the basket. He can dribble. He can score off the dribble. We've seen that. We see him spot up for 3 a little bit. I know the percentage isn't exactly super high, but I expect it to go up because he's going to continue to get open shots. I just really love Trey White in his game, man. I feel like since I watched him with my own eyes against Wisconsin and how he did in that game, and then continuously watched these last handful of games since then, it's like, this guy's a dog, dude. So let me know what you think on that. Carson in the chat, how you doing, man? He says, spot on with Trey. I just can't quit daydreaming about bringing everyone but KJ back next year. I know, dude. When we were working in Peoria at the radio station, and I don't know if we ever talked about Illinois basketball or anything there, but when we were there, I feel like that time, that era of time, we would have just taken what like the team was 2 years ago, which was like a bunch of dudes with a lot of talent thrown together, and they go make the NCAA tournament and lose to Arkansas in the first round. I think we would have loved to have a team like that, right? Now we're sitting here in this era at this point, and Brad Underwood has taken a team that has only had one returning player from last year's Elite 8 team. One! And we're sitting here dreaming about another deep run in March, and the possibility of some of these players coming back and being a legit national championship contender next season. Guys, we literally used to dream of times like this, man. I say it in sarcasm a lot, but like, I love where this program is at right now, dude. I love where this program is at. It's so exciting. It's so exciting to be able to schedule my life around Illinois basketball. On Saturday, Illinois is playing USC at like noon. I told my girlfriend yesterday, Illinois plays USC on Saturday. I will do whatever you want to do, but I'm watching this game. My schedule revolves around Illinois in the winter. I can't say that about a lot of teams that I like, man. I can't say that about a lot of teams that I like. And it's so fun. So I'm enjoying the ride, dude. I'm enjoying the ride. And it's so fun. And like, this fan base deserves it so much, man. We all deserve this excitement, this daydreaming of like, what could be next season? We're already thinking about down the road. We haven't even got to February yet. And certainly a lot of things could change between now and March. Absolutely. But man, like, did anyone expect this team to kind of gel the way that it has this early? I don't think so. They certainly could have blew that game against Washington, but they didn't. And I say that just because of the last, let's just talk about Big Ten play. Like, they certainly could have blew that game, but they didn't. They won that game. KJ saved them. The ceiling with this team with KJ is right there with as good as any team in the country, man. It's been fun to watch and consume Illinois content this last week, where people in the national media are bearing the question of, is Illinois a national title contender? It's very fun to listen to these people debate about it. Whether I agree with what they're saying or not, which right now I think a lot of them are making the case that they are, or at least saying that they're Big Ten conference title contenders for sure. They're somewhere in that range. It's just nice to be part of the national conversation. Carson, when I read your chat and said, remember when we lived in when I lived in Peoria and we worked together at that radio station, and Illinois basketball was where it's at that time. No one was talking about this program at that time. Just what a journey that it's been so far, man. What a journey. So I just don't take these times for granted, man. I don't take these times for granted. And I think finally, to close on this little tangent, finally, I think Brad Underwood, if things keep going the way they're going, Brad Underwood will finally, after way too long, my friends, it's been way too long, Brad Underwood is in the process right now of cementing himself as the lead candidate to win the National Coach of the Year. And if not that, he's at least going to win Big Ten Coach of the Year if things keep going, dude. If things keep going like this, Brad Underwood, I think, will finally earn himself a Coach of the Year title or award. And it's is so overdue for one. But I think the reason that he could get it this year is the fact that, again, one guy from last year's team returning, and this team is playing like this. So, of course, they're going to have to keep it up. They're going to have to keep playing well. They're going to have to keep winning games against teams that are good. I think having that really good, tough non-conference schedule for sure helped them. Credit to Brad for putting that together, right? This could be the year Brad finally wins one. So I'm as a Brad defender, as a Brad stan, if it happens, I will be absolutely insufferable about it when it finally happens. So, anyway, times are good, man. Times are good. Times could not possibly be better. And as a pretty fair weather Illinois football fan, man, you got all these guys coming back for them next year. We're going to have more fun in the fall. We'll have the fall. We watch Illinois football, maybe go to a college football playoff, and then the basketball season starts up right away. Maybe my joke about this being just a basketball school, maybe that narrative will finally end. I'm not getting too far. I'm not getting that far. But, man, this basketball program is in an incredible spot right now, man. So, I talked a little bit about Humrichous. I talked a little bit about Trey White. The other guy that I haven't talked about, and honestly, I probably should have talked about him first because he's become one of my favorite players. And I think he is Illini fans' favorite player right now because he just does all these things that makes you want to take a few bullets for him, right? Kasparas Jakucionis has been an absolute stud, dude. Is Kasparas Jakucionis setting himself up to be like first team all Big Ten in 2025, 2026 season? Is he setting himself up to perhaps be that? Because 20 and 10 last night against Penn State? 20 and 11. Sorry. 20 and 11. 9-11 for the field. Missed a few free throws if you want me to complain about something. 20 points, 11 rebounds in 20 minutes, dude. The guy was just all over the place. He's a force defensively. His length, his size. Like, I think when I watch him, I'm always thinking to myself, man, if they had him last season, I don't know if they would have beat UConn in the Elite Eight, but man, would they have been a little bit of a different team. That rim protection, and again, the size, the strength that he has, and the fact that he's a good finisher. He's a good finisher at the rim. I just think his presence just makes this team scary. With that coming off the bench, he's going to be a stud next season when he's playing majority of the minutes, right? Merez has definitely grown on me as one of my favorite players this year. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Great game for him. And I think, when we talk about Kasparas and this forearm injury or whatever, like I said at the beginning of the show, this is an opportunity for guys to be able to kind of get themselves going or find ways to win games without him, and perhaps it helps take them to the next level when they get him back. It's kind of like last season when Damask had to find a way to be more productive when Terrence was suspended, and we saw him have the multiple good games without him, right? Certainly the ceiling of this team without Kasparas is not national title contender, but they certainly have a good enough team to get by without him. If he doesn't play on Saturday, I don't think it'll be the worst thing in the world. But I'm not trying to take any games off. If he can play, he should play. So I was hopeful that maybe this game against Penn State would have allowed Will Riley to get going offensively. Again, like I said, he made an impact on the game, rebounding, getting other people involved, but 2 of 11 from the field. I need more offense from him, man. I need more offense from him. DGL, I haven't really mentioned him, but he's just having a great stretch right now. He's been awesome in Big Ten play, 9 points, 2 rebounds. There was a portion of the game where he had that big block in transition, and then he had a wide open 3 on the following possession down the court. And I swear to you, for an arena that wasn't absolutely rocking, because I'm assuming most of the students weren't back yet, the place would have erupted if he hit that 3, because it was a wow moment. And I feel like DGL is starting to provide us with at least one wow moment every night. I think he's good on defense. If he could be a little bit more consistent with the shooting, that'd be great. But I felt like he was a spark plug off the bench against Washington. Same thing against Oregon. And he gave you another solid 9 points last night. So right now, he's kind of filling in that Will Riley role for me, at least. Like, I think if you can get Will Riley and DGL going off the bench once KJ is back, man, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat. My girlfriend is calling me. I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I will call her back when I'm done. Anyway, so I love what we're seeing out of the bench, especially from last night and just in Big Ten play in general. So I guess if there's one guy that I guess I'm a little concerned about is Isevich. He hasn't been very good in Big Ten play, but I still think he's giving you rebounding. I still think he's giving you solid defense. Brad really harped on the defense that he gave them last night. So I don't know. It's kind of a wait and see thing for me with him. I know how good he can be. What I think they need to do with Tommy is give him a couple post ups. He late in yesterday's game, he had one and got right to the rim and finished. They've been doing the high pick, the pick and pops with him on the corner wing, on the wings, or at the top of the key, or they'll do the pick and roll where they get it to him. Or he kind of slips and they get it to him at the top of the free throw line, and then he just kind of decides what's going to happen. They've done that, but I feel like they should probably try when he's struggling like he is, they should maybe against USC, they can get him going by give him a few post-ups. I don't know. I think as long as he gives you defense and solid rebounding, it's fine, but they need to get more than 4 points on 2 of 6 shooting, right? They need more than that, and especially against a good team. And I'm not saying Penn State's bad. I think they're solid. They're 12-4, right? But just kind of my thoughts on Tommy. Like, I think getting something going to the basket for him would be beneficial. I think he missed a few freebies as well. So maybe I'm not paying enough attention, but I feel like he's taken too many outside shots. I mean, he had like a mid-range air ball. He airballed a 3. Like it just was not a good game for him. That's probably the only negative part about the game is the fact that Tommy wasn't that good, at least on offense. Who else have I not mentioned? I think I've mentioned most of the important people. It's always good when you can get AJ Red and Keaton Kutcher into the game, man. It's always good. All right. We're about 45 minutes in. I don't really know what else to say. They got, as we were talking earlier, they have USC. They have USC on Saturday. They got Indiana on Tuesday. They got Michigan State next the Sunday after. And then Maryland comes to Champaign. So I would say the best case scenario, obviously, is to win the next 3. But I think realistically, if you can win 2 of the next 3 games, you're in a really good spot. I don't know if they can sweep Indiana and Michigan State. I don't know if they can. Worst case scenario, obviously, is if you don't win either one of those games against Indiana and Michigan State. I feel like they'll be fine against USC, whether KJ plays or not. But I think they need to at least win one of these games next week against Indiana or Michigan State. Preferably, for my own happiness, I would like them to beat Michigan State. And so I feel like Indiana is going to be a tough one at Assembly Hall. The talent they have, their fan base will be up for it. It'll be a raucous crowd. That's going to be tough. It's going to be the same thing at Michigan State, but I think it'd be a better win if they can beat Michigan State in East Lansing. Okay. Cam in the chat says Oregon's up late on Ohio State. Let's look at the Big Ten schedule right now, and we can kind of see some upcoming games that could be beneficial for Illinois. Oregon's up 70-69 as we do this. I think Oregon was a 4.5-point underdog. They came across the country to Ohio State, and it looks like they might pull it off. Purdue 168-50. Dude, Rutgers, what is going on with Rutgers? They're bad. Washington and Michigan State tonight. Michigan State 14-point favorites. Washington, they're kind of scrappy, but on the road at Michigan State, I understand why they're 14-point dogs. Friday, we got UCLA going to Maryland. That'll be an interesting one. UCLA literally going the other side of the coast. That'll be. I think that's a game I'll probably take. I would take Maryland and UCLA. Man, they had a bad loss this week. I'm trying to remember who they lost to. After I said on here to buy stock on them. Well, I guess it wasn't a bad loss, but they lost to Michigan by 19 at home on Tuesday. So, yeah, Wisconsin beat Rutgers on Monday. Yeah. Anyway, Michigan and Michigan State right now, they're the guys that looks like maybe us Illini fans will be scoreboard watching. It's still early. I'm still not sleeping on Purdue either. I'm never going to sleep on Purdue. They're too good of a program. But yeah, right now it's like let's just keep rolling, try to rack up some wins and see where we're at come mid-February going into March. And like I said, this conference is for Illinois to lose at this point. I've watched enough of all these other teams, and they're good, but I just do not think they're as good as Illinois. We said it all year. I said it all during the non-conference season that they have a ceiling higher than any other team in this conference. They might have a game where they all play terrible and they lose, but more often than not, they have a team that's better than anyone else in the conference. So we'll see. But tomorrow, Minnesota and Wisconsin play, and then UCLA and Maryland as well, like I already said. Saturday slate, USC and Illinois, and then Indiana goes to Iowa. That'll be a good one. I don't know how to read Iowa. Iowa's literally just the same thing every year. Fran McCaffrey, just red face yelling on the sidelines, and they shoot a lot of threes, and they don't play any defense. That's kind of how I view Iowa, like every year, right? So, Yeah. Another weekend to build off the last win. So I think that's all I got, folks. That's all I got. Illinois wins by 40 without their best player. We used to dream of times like this, folks. We used to dream of times like this. Don't take it for granted. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride, my friends. All right. Saturday, I don't know if I'll be able to have a post game. It's unlikely. More likely to do something on Sunday. Perhaps in the morning. We'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe I do something on Saturday. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to talk to the lady and figure that out. But we'll have something over the weekend reacting to the game against USC. And then next week against Indiana. But that game's at 6:00. I should be able to do a live post game after that game. Barring anything happening in my regular full-time job life. If the Chicago Cubs make a trade or something on that day, I might not be able to do something, but we'll see. Also, a lot of people on Twitter, I'd tell y'all are funny. I tweeted last night. And it's like my new favorite bit now when I go to Illini games in the is to tweet pictures of the arena or the court and then just say Cubs about to break news, buckle up. And then like the 50 people who think that I'm actually serious. And the only reason I tweet it is because it's like, of course the Cubs would break news when I'm trying to enjoy something good in my life going on. And that is Illinois basketball. That's the bit. That's the joke. So to anyone who falls for it, I'm sorry. To anyone who gets it, credit to you. All right. Y'all have a good rest of your Thursday. I'm rooting for Notre Dame tonight in the college football playoff. And yeah, we got NFL wildcard weekend. We got more college football. So a lot of sports to watch. So enjoy this next day of without Illinois basketball, but we're back on the hardwood on Saturday. Hopefully we'll beat USC like you should. And then we'll go into next week and we'll see how battle tested this team is on the road against two solid teams. So until either Saturday evening or Sunday sometime, guys, as always, I appreciate y'all. Hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. But until then, as always, guys, ILL.